addition to the American Swedish Institute. And my name's Arlene Birt. I am a visual storyteller, so I focus on making stories visual, background stories from products and places about especially communicating social and ecological concepts. So we wanted to show you the work I've done here that's on the banner that wraps around the construction site, and kind of walk you through some of the amazing things that are happening here in this space and in the space that will open in June of 2012. It's a 72-foot long repeating pattern that wraps the entire construction site, or most of the construction site. And it kind of, we'll start here with the history of immigration from Sweden into Minnesota. So there's some visual reference of that here, as well as some of the traditional kind of folklore elements that whenever immigrants from Sweden to Minnesota would see a swallow, because the swallow is also a bird native to Sweden, they would ask the swallow here to fly home and say hello to their friends and family back home in Sweden. Minnesota is still a place for immigrants, both in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in this neighborhood as well. So we wanted to have a reference to that traveling and immigrating to Minnesota, just as Mr. Swan Turnblad did when he built the castle portion of what we all know as the American Swedish Institute, that looks like a fairy tale castle. So with the new Nelson Cultural Center, which is currently being constructed, there's a lot of ecological elements, technologies at work that are being built into this construction. It's being designed for LEED Gold certification, which is essentially an eco-label for the building industry. But with this banner, we really wanted to help people understand what that means in terms of the elements of the building. So for example, there's energy efficient lighting, geothermal pumps, recycled building materials integrated into the building, water conservation mechanisms, as well as wonderful daylight that you can tell from all the windows being built into the construction. There's also a green roof that you can see here, and the landscape of the space is being designed such that it helps with rainwater and runoff. So here you can see the architect's rendering of the new space, sort of on the seam of the banner. More information about opening and what all will be housed in the new space. And then we wanted to give people kind of a behind-the-scenes look at some of the activities and events happening both in the current American Swedish Institute as well as will be in the new space. So you can come visit for some of the craft opportunities, exhibits. Definitely check out the cafe and try some delicious Swedish pastries. And if you look closely here in the banner, you can see our tomte, which is a Swedish folklore where it's kind of a little gnome that inhabits spaces. The Swedish Institute also has one, so when you come to visit, you should see if you can find him. And then we have some of the festivities that happen in Swedish culture that the Swedish Institute celebrates and has activities for. Walpurgis Night in May, the Swedish National Day, Midsummer, Crayfish Festival, and St. Lucia Day. Throughout the banner there's also some elements that are kind of this illustration style that represents the Swedish traditions, that folk illustration, and some other elements from the culture. So, thanks for taking a look, and you should come visit the new Nelson edition, as well as the Swedish Institute when it opens this summer of 2012.